I'm Jeff Matlow. Welcome to the best leadership podcast ever. Welcome back to the best leadership podcast ever, where every week we reframe your daily behavior to help you catapult your career. My name's Jeff Matlow. I'm so excited to talk to you again. I'm going to clear my throat now. All right, that feels so much better. Not that I'm a perfectionist or anything, but, you know. In fact, I actually want to talk to you about perfection. And it starts with a story about my daughter's school. You see, my daughter's elementary school recently went through a few upgrades. They redesigned the library, they created a new lunch area, and they updated the playground with some really neat structures that I wish were in the playgrounds I played in when I was a kid. It all looks so perfect. Next to the playground, the school built this new walkway that climbs the slow rise to the administration building. Not coincidentally, the walkway has 26 steps, each one representing a letter of the alphabet, because they're a school. The first step has A engraved in its cement, which is a capital A, lowercase a, AA. The second one has BB, the third CC, etc. And after the contractor finished working on the stairs and building them, putting it all together, the administration got together to look at how beautiful it was. And that's about when somebody noticed a problem. It was a big problem. What they saw when they walked up the first 7 stairs were this: AA, BB, CC, DD, ED, FF, and GG. That's right. Stair number 5 had a huge mistake. Instead of EE, it had capital E, lowercase d. Oops. Remember now, this is an elementary school. The sole purpose is to teach kids. And the very basics of teaching are the ABCs. So what does it say about a school that can't even get the basics correct in one of the most highly trafficked areas on campus? Needless to say, the administration made a quick and easy decision about what to do about that mistake on the walkway. What they did is they decided to keep it as it is. I have a leadership coaching client named Gary. Gary's really smart and quite good at his job. He's got a talent for turning complex ideas into reality, but that's not why I'm talking about him. You see, Gary has one major personality flaw that negatively impacts his reputation at work. He expects perfection. Unfortunately, Gary's in an industry where things go wrong all the time. It's kind of the nature of his work. So when Gary's team runs into problems on a project, Gary's natural tendency is to play the victim. Instead of taking responsibility for his team's part in the overall company dynamic, he blames other departments for what they did or didn't do that caused his team to fail. Making mistakes doesn't motivate Gary to do better. Mistakes demotivate him. Even worse, mistakes cause Gary to separate his department from the rest of the company in kind of an us versus them sort of way. So with each new mistake, he backs himself and his team further into their own silo. I suppose the irony of this is that Gary's unhealthy reaction to the lack of perfection is exactly the thing that will guarantee an increased lack of perfection in the future. This is going to get back to those stairs at my daughter's school in a second. But hold on, I got another point to make. If you always expect perfection, you're rarely going to be satisfied with your life. Keep in mind, there's a big difference between expecting perfection and striving for perfection. Expecting perfection is damaging. Like Gary, if you demand flawlessness in everything you do, you're always going to be disappointed. Rather than using the setbacks as opportunities to grow, you'll just feel frustrated and look at others as the ones to blame. On the other hand, someone who's striving for perfection has a motivational mindset. A person who strives for perfection may be disappointed when they make mistakes, but they're fueled by that disappointment. They use the frustration as a motivator to be more effective in the future. Discontentment is their engine that fuels growth. When asked about the light bulb, Thomas Edison said, "I haven't failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work." In 1985, Steve Jobs was fired as the CEO of Apple, the company he created. He went to another company and learned how to be a stronger leader. If it weren't for his initial failure as a leader at Apple, he probably wouldn't have turned Apple into such a successful company as he did when he returned as CEO in 1996. In the 1960s, 3M spent a lot of money to create a new super strong adhesive. They weren't able to do it and only came up with this light adhesive instead. They decided to put that light adhesive on little yellow squares of paper and called it Post-it notes. The R&D failure led to the development of one of the most iconic office products and one that remains relevant today, deep in the technology era. You see, the road to growth is littered with the shards of mistakes. I grew up in Connecticut. When I graduated high school, each student in my class received a beer stein as a gift from the school. Now, I'm not sure what they were doing. We weren't even of drinking age at that point, but that's a whole different story. All these years later, I keep the beer stein on my desk. You know why? Because they misspelled Connecticut on it. The stein is my daily reminder that perfection is not the purpose. The purpose is progress, and progress rarely needs to be perfect. Perfection is the plague of the imposter. Maintaining perfection is impossible. Striving for perfection, however, is a really beneficial way to drive continuous improvement. We should learn from our failures and celebrate our progress, regardless of how deformed they can appear. There are a few ways that can be done. For leaders, it's important to create a culture where people know it's safe to fail. It's important not to hide the mistakes, but to talk about them and celebrate the learnings. You just don't want to make the same mistake multiple times. That's a problem. One neat idea is to implement the Mistake of the Month award. Let your staff vote for the person in the past month who best turned a mistake into a win, then celebrate that mistake. By celebrating the power of not being perfect, you encourage everybody to be more innovative and take more chances. And for individuals, you need to shift your mindset from expecting perfection to one of striving to be your best. Making mistakes means you're trying something new. Recognize your progress and celebrate it. In the end, perfection is overrated. Honestly, it's boring. Flaws are fun. Mistakes make progress happen. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. So don't hold people up to that standard. You'd just be setting both of you up for failure. And this brings us back, finally, to the lesson of leadership at my daughter's school. The lesson they decided to teach by keeping the alphabetical error in cement for everyone to see is that everybody makes mistakes, even adults. There's no reason to be embarrassed. There's no reason to be upset. Let's put it all out in the open and remind ourselves that the path we walk down in life will never be perfect. The only perfect part is that it'll always lead to a better you. Thank you for listening. If you have departments that are siloed and you wish you had more integrated and effortless team dynamic, reach out to me, leadership@bytitleonly.com. I help leadership teams be stronger. If you like this, please give it 5 stars and leave a review. That would mean a ton to me. It really helps us out. Either way, I appreciate you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great week.